I cannot remember when I first heard of Evangelion. Ever since I first started getting into anime and learning more about it and learning about like famous shows, like I'm talking like a decade ago, right? I've heard talk about Neon Genesis Evangelion and how it was like this huge deal and this huge success story and just like this incredible anime that everyone should watch. One of the all-time great shows. I've heard the theme song, I've heard people talk about like the themes, like the hidden meaning behind it. I have had this show hyped up to me for years from all sorts of different people. And I finally got around to watching it. And I've just sat through the first 13 episodes, like the first half of it, right? The original show, I've just watched it. And at this point, are you people fucking kidding me? Like, holy fucking shit. This show fucking sucks. And I am not exactly, like, I really don't want to be that guy who comes out and like says that like, oh, popular things are bad, because James Rawl, the angry video game nerd, he put this really well in his top 10 most top 10 films I don't like but everybody else loves. Well, top 10 films I don't love, where he says like, if something is popular and you don't like it and you speak up about it, it's just like, why would you do that? Why would you not want to be part of the party? Why would you not want to celebrate this great thing alongside everything else? And I feel this way about all sorts of things, especially like the PlayStation. Like it's just like when it comes to Evangelion and certain things like the newer Star Wars films and uh, the PlayStation exclusives and things like that, is that like I feel like people don't like these things because they think they're good. I think they like them because they're supposed to like them. They like them because of the cult-like mentality around them. They like them because of like the praise already surrounding them. Like with Undertale. We've seen this happen with Undertale, where no one who's played Undertale seems to know anything about video games in general, or games like Undertale, the games that like inspired Undertale. Well, Undertale ripped off, but that's a completely different story. Like you see these people just blindly praise these things with no idea of what's really out there and like what can be considered good. And with Evangelion in particular, I really gotta talk. I really gotta drive this. Just how disappointed I was watching this show. Like the first two episodes were fine. Like I was enjoying myself. Like Shinji was reluctant to get in the fucking robot. Whatever. Gendo was a dick. Like that was fine. Like I that was exactly what I expected to see. But what I wasn't expecting to see going forward was like this weird high school shenanigans, the really terribly handled fan service, like really terrible character building in general, like terrible character motivations, like terrible, military drama in general. It was just like, wow, this show, not only is it boring, it makes this terrible mistake of just people often criticize Evangelion for misusing religious references and like trying to like use this symbolism that doesn't really mean anything. I would go one step beyond that, because it's not just religious symbolism that they get wrong. They get like sci-fi and like the idea of like it like how a military would treat this kind of situation, like how a military would actually handle it. They just do that really poorly. Well, I know people will like try to justify this as, but well, it's about how messed up it would be if you put a 14-year-old kid in this giant robot. Just like, no, I don't feel that way at all. That was not handled well at all. There are so many. Okay, so let's first of all talk about Shinji, the protagonist. So far, again, I've only watched the first half, but it's incredible, right? It's incredible how whiny Shinji. Well, okay, Shinji. I don't want to criticize Shinji exactly. I want to criticize how and why he's so iconic as an anime, well, among Evangelion fans. Like, get in the damn robot, Shinji. Like, this is a thing that people really, who love Evangelion, really drive home, is that Shinji is being abused because he was asked to get into a giant robot that only he can pilot. By the way, they still have not explained properly why Shinji had to pilot the robot in the first place. But Shinji didn't want to do it because, like, ooh, he's a bitch. Whatever. Like, again, this goes to another problem I have with this setup in general. It's just like Shinji apparently was called in to this show has like the weirdest anime time. I don't know how else to put this. Like, it feels like even during these emergency situations, they have like the luxury to like sit around and make these elaborate military plans that make absolutely no sense. Like, ooh, an angel is attacking and Rei is out of commission. What do? We go get Shinji and have him pilot a robot instead, even though he's never been trained before. And that's going to fucking work. That's a fucking great idea. And by the way, they don't even show that fight. That was like the first red flag for me. Where, like, Shinji apparently enters a berserker mode and fucking kills the angel. Without, like, they don't even, like, really show it. It looks really lame. And it's just like, wow. This is one of the all-time great anime. No serious character drama. It just sort of, no serious character drama about, like, I really don't want to do this. No, he just fucking kills it somehow. Just... Bayonetta, this is not. I am not impressed with that. So he fucking kills it somehow, and then wanks about how he really doesn't want to do. Okay, how he wanks, whines about. Okay, it's not even really about the Eva for the first part of this. Like for the first 13 episodes again, which again is about as long as like the first season of My Hero Academia lasted, which again was great, which I really loved, had great character building, way better than fucking this, in spite of its problems. Evangelion, to me, it just does not seem to know what to do with Shinji. They establish him as being this whiny bitch who doesn't want to pilot the robot. And I was just like, okay, I'm on board with this. This is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see something like, retrospective, subversive, something that like goes against like the typical trend of like having underage heroes pilot giant robots. But no, it doesn't work for a whole lot of reasons. And specifically, okay, I'm going to really go into talk. Okay, so Evangelion fans love to hype up Evangelion as being this like, story about this guy who's isolated from who nobody understands him, and how it's like this, how he's being made to do something he really doesn't want to do and pilot giant robots and shit like that. But it just does not come off that way at all. For one thing, he's not the only pilot. He's not the only one who can do this. Like Asuka and Rei are far more enthusiastic and far better than it. Well, okay, they don't really explain this at all. Like, Rei was fucked up at the beginning, and it's like, whoa, is she gonna be fucked up for the entire season? Like, is this like Rei's entire thing? Is that she's like this girl who wants to fight but got fucked up so bad? But no, she's fine by like episode 3. She goes back to school, apparently. They go to school, apparently. Like, this is the first real big red flag for me. Like, the fucking school aspect. Like, how... This thing, Evangelion, does not feel like this is like an end of the world situation. It doesn't. Like the protagonists, who are supposed to be like isolated from society and have like these social issues and stuff. No, they have friends. They go to school. They hang out. They do all sorts of shit. Like Shinji checks out Asuka. Just whatever. Fucking Shinji has a crush on Asuka, but doesn't make a move because he's a fucking pussy. Even when like he's walking down this like, I can't get over this. Like in this episode I just watched, like episode 13, Shinji and the girls are asked to like strip naked and get in the fucking robots, and they have to like walk down this hallway to get there. And I'm just like, Shinji, why aren't you going for this? Like, fucking bullshit, Shinji. You're such a bit like, I'm not angry at Shinji for not piloting the fucking robot. I'm angry at him for not making a move on Asuka, who by the way is awesome, hilarious. I like Rei too, but Asuka, I think, is probably my favorite character in this. Like, even though she's only just appeared, maybe she gets more annoying later, because like I've heard lots of people don't like her, but I don't know, man. Like, she's probably the only character that I don't really dislike for whatever reason. Like Rei, I like Rei too, but like Shinji, she feels like really underutilized. Like all these characters don't really feel like characters. Like it feels like their feelings on things don't matter, their histories don't really matter, their personalities don't really matter. Like their personalities are contradicting. Like I know people love to pretend like, oh, these characters have depth. This is because they have like multifaceted personalities and stuff like that. They all like have different worldviews that clash in different ways. And it's just like, I don't fucking think so. I just feel like they did not put any thought into consideration about who these people were or what they believed in or like why they were fighting or anything like that, or what their personalities are, or just like, I don't fucking know, man. It's just like, I don't really feel attached to really any of these characters. Like, I don't relate to Shinji's problems with like Gendo, Shinji's daddy issues, because like his dad doesn't really do anything with him. Like he just like get in the robot Shinji and then just like whatever. Like they don't talk anymore. Like Shinji's like beat up about it, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Like he's having you hang out with two hot chicks. Like what else do you want? Like shit. I just don't get it. Like I don't relate at all. And it's just like it's like this needs to go back to like the whole end of the world situation, because this show desperately wants you to believe that like the angels are like this insane threat. Like they caused the cataclysm, like all sorts of people died, and just like this show has a really bad habit of like shouting out statistics and like technobabble that doesn't really mean anything. Like this operation has a 0.01 chance percent. Well, it's not zero. We should fucking do it. Like, what the fuck? Like they come up with all these elaborate plans that would never, ever fucking work, and you're just supposed to like accept it. Like they come up with these on the spot. Like they somehow are able to like analyze what these angels are and what they're made of and how to beat them, and just like they do all sorts of stupid bullshit to do them. Like this episode 13. This is the episode that really made me want to make this video before actually finishing the series. Right now, I'm not even sure I'm going to do it, but I kind of want to, just to see how it all ends, just to see how bad the ending to this really is, because I've heard lots of terrible things about how terrible the ending is. But episode 13, I think, and several of the other like ones where like the angels actually do stuff, like they resolve the issue in like such a weird way. Like the whole Maggie thing, like they hacked into them, the bad guy. They hacked into these like 3 supercomputers. The angels hacked into it. Like they can do that. They hacked into these supercomputers, and immediately these guys, the heroes, are like, okay, how are we going to beat them? Okay, let's talk about this and come up with this like elaborate plan to like we know how this angel operates and how to best it and how to use its superpower. It's like a computer. How we can use its computer-like tendencies against it to fucking kill it. And it's just like they came up with this while this thing was like hacking into their essential supercomputers at like incredible speeds, might I add. Something like it felt like this should have hacked the entire thing in a couple of minutes with how they they presented it and stuff like that. They could not have come up with like a reasonable plan of counterattack in like that short of a time, and like that feels the same way with a lot of the other like angel attacks, where it feels like shit they should not have the time to do shit. Like the other example that comes to mind is that like the DDR mission, the one where it's Asuka's first assignment, and Shinji and Asuka are asked to fight this angel that like has the power to like split itself in two, and like they have to kill both of them at once to like kill it or whatever. Whatever. Of course, Shinji and Asuka don't get along because Shinji because of course Asuka's a tsundere, and Shinji's a bitch who wants to fuck her, and of course they don't fucking get along. They fight all the time. Whatever. Of course, so they can't coordinate at all. And then they spend a week like going through this like a DDR rhythm training where they like synchronize their movements for whatever. They're like asked to do all this stupid bullshit. And they spend an entire week doing this while the angel is just running around rampant doing whatever. They've established that like the military doesn't fucking have any other weapons to deal with it. And by the way, they established, this is another thing that bothers me, is that the military somehow does not have any weapons to deal with these things other than the giant robots. And I'm just like, why? What's the reasoning behind it? Like especially since they established in the first episode where military like rifles would not work against them, like military conventional weapons would not work against angels, but then somehow like, oh, the first thing Shinji does when he goes after an angel willingly is like shoot it with a rifle, and they told him to do like, what? It's so like back to my point about like the whole DDR thing. They spend an entire week, well, while an angel is running rampant, like training to beat it. Like they're doing this DDR shit for no fucking reason because Rei and Shinji get along synchronized much better. So that this entire sequence, I'm just like, why not have Rei do it? Why not have Rei partner with Shinji or Asuka if Shinji bitches out? Why not have Rei go and do it? Like I don't understand this whole thing with like Shinji. Shinji is like super important. I'm like, Shinji's not important. Like shit, fucking bullshit. Like it's this entire setup is just like, wow, this anime is a classic. This is considered one of the best animes ever made. I am having trouble thinking of any anime I've watched for this long and disliked it as much. Like, I hated JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but that was like within the first 10 minutes, and I'm never going to watch another episode again. Like, I was done with JoJo's within like the first 10 minutes, okay? It was that fucking bad, okay? I hated JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I didn't feel that way about Evangelion going into it, so I guess that's something in Evangelion's favor. It's not as bad as JoJo, but believe me, that's not saying a lot. Uh, there's just like, watching this episode, watching episode 13, I was really starting to like sit here and think like, wow, I don't know why I'm sitting here and watching this because like this is a classic. Like no, if I'm not enjoying myself, I'm not like invested in like the situation at all. Like I don't give a shit about like Adam or what Gendo is doing behind the scenes or him fucking over other military divisions. I don't care about like a I don't care about Masato. I don't care about her relationship with that guy. I don't care about like the scientist chick whose name I still don't know. I don't really care about Shinji. I don't care about any of this. Like, uh, other than like Shinji not going for Asuka, which again I reiterate, he totally fucking should. Like there's nothing really here that really keeps me that really begs me to keep coming back. Like the only reason I want to finish it is just to say I did, so I can bitch about how terrible it is online. And believe me, I know enough about the ending to Evangelion and how like this is apparently the good half. From what I understand, is like the first half is like what made this series famous, and it wasn't until like the last few episodes where people started realizing this was a pile of shit. And like from what I understand, people have like deluded themselves that this was like a Xenogear situation where like the creative team was fucked over by the executives or like their deadlines or whatever. No, like Neon Genesis Evangelion was never good. Like, okay, I have the theme song on my iPod. I've been listening to it a lot. My iPhone, I'm sorry. I misspoke. My iPhone, I'm sorry. There's a real distinction there. I have that song on my phone, and I have been listening to it a lot. And like my favorite moment of any Evangelion episode is the title sequence because like that really is iconic for a reason. And you know that song really is amazing. Like that's an amazing fucking song. I loved it. I love that song. And when the best thing, when that's the thing I come away thinking about when I watch your like iconic best ever anime, yeah, I don't think the anime is that good. And like I already have people telling me to like, oh, watch End of Evangelion, oh, watch the other movies, oh, watch this other bullshit. I'm not completely sure I'm willing to do that. Cause I don't really see the point. Like the show does not really interest me. Like it's not that deep, it's not that engaging, it's not that thought provoking. It doesn't have good actions, it doesn't have good characters. Like it doesn't even have like an interesting concept really. I'm sure there's way better mech shows out there. Sure, I'm not really invested in this genre, but uh, I'd rather watch like a Godzilla movie or something. Like something that, I just don't really see myself continue. Oh, just I don't like this show. I don't think. I would just like it's been like a slow sort of like realization for me because like from the first episode I was hyped and that sort of started to die down by episode 3 and then it like sort of went down as Asuka was introduced and now with this like episode 13 I think it's safe to say that no I don't like Neon Genesis Evangelion and that's perfectly okay. I don't think this show is any good.